Hello dear learners, this is Dr. N Waghmare. Welcomes all of you on the session on barriers of communication. No matter what job you have in your life, but your success in life will be determined 5% by your academic credentials, 15% by your professional experience, and 80% by your communication skills. Communication is an oxygen of your career. If you can communicate, then you can get by. But if you can communicate skillfully and effectively, then you can just do the miracles. So, effective communication is a bridge between confusion and the clarity. Effective communication is a bridge between dreams and the reality. And if you want to communicate effectively, then you must have the knowledge what are the barriers of communication, and you must know the techniques to remove these barriers. The learning outcome of this session are, at the end of this session, students will be able to understand the barriers of communication and they will be able to remove barriers to make their communication effective. Do you know what is a communication? Do you know what are the barriers? It is my request to all of the learners that please pause this video and try to write these answers in your notebook. Let us learn what is a barrier and what are the barriers of communication. Communication is the activity of conveying meaningful information. It requires a sender, a message, and a recipient. Barrier is an obstacle in a place that prevents us from completing certain tasks. As the speed breakers decrease the speed of the vehicle, similarly, the barriers of communication degrades the impact of the communication. Communication barriers can be defined as the aspects or conditions that interfere with effective exchange of ideas or thoughts. These barriers result in distortion and misunderstanding of the intended communique. The barriers can be physical, psychological, emotional, cultural, linguistic, etc. Let us learn the types of barriers. Physical barrier, cultural barrier, language barrier, emotional barrier, gender barrier, organizational barrier, and perceptual barrier. First, let us discuss what are the physical barriers. Physical barriers are resulted out of surroundings. The examples of physical barriers are noise, technical disturbances, outdated equipments, distant locations, old technology, and lack of appropriate infrastructure. Physical barriers relate to disturbance in the immediate situation, which can interfere in the course of an effective communication. Some of them are easy to alter, whereas some may prove to be tough obstacles in the process of effective communication. Now let us learn organizational structured barriers. Systems, structures, and processes in the organization are not clear or have gaps in them. Chain of command is unclear. A person may not know whom to contact for a particular issue. Inappropriate information transmission system, lack of supervision, and unclear role and responsibility demarcations lead to confusion and inefficiency. These are the examples of organizational structure barriers. Now let us learn about the language barriers. Language can create many obstacles in communication. Literally, people from different regions and countries may interpret the same words differently. Difficult words, subject specific terminology, unfamiliar expressions, and confusing words have multiple meanings and they can create hurdles in communication. It is also a fact that the linguistic ability of various people in the workplace is different. Some may be proficient in the language, while others may possess just basic skills. Therefore, it is important to use clear, simple, easily understood language in most of your official communications. Emotions also play a very important role in communication. Then let us discuss about emotional barriers. Emotions are essential part of human life and all of our communication is charged by the emotions. So one of the chief barriers to open and free communication is emotional barrier. Anger, fear of criticism or ridicule, jealousy, anxiety, and many more feelings and sentiments we carry within us. And all these feelings can affect our communication ability and quality. A person who is upset, disturbed, and angry cannot pass on or receive information appropriately and objectively. So, meanings of the words are colored by the emotions. If you want to communicate effectively, then please try to control your emotions. A person's emotions will color his perception and assessment of the communication. Let us learn about attitude barriers. Attitude also plays a vital role in communication. Personal attitudes of employees can affect communication within the organization. A proactive, motivated worker will facilitate the communication process, whereas disgruntled, shy, lazy employee can delay, hesitate in taking the initiative, or refuse to communicate. Attitude problems can be addressed by good management and regular interaction with staff members. Perception barriers. Each one of us perceives the world differently, and this causes problems in communication. The same content is seen and interpreted differently by two people, and therein lies the root cause of miscommunications and misunderstandings. This is a very famous example of the different perceptions, that one can say that the glass is empty and one can say the glass is full. Here, person A says that this is 6 and person B says this is 9. There are 3 versions of every story: your side, their side, and the truth. If you want to remove the perception barrier, then definitely be impartial and unprejudiced to find out the truth and focus on the meaning rather than the perception and the emotions. Let us learn about physiological barriers. Ill health, poor eyesight, hearing difficulties, or any other physiological problems can be hurdles in effective interaction with others. Technology barriers. In today's world, communication modes are primarily technology driven. This communication technology is being constantly upgraded or new formats emerge ever so frequently. Anyone who is not tech friendly struggles to communicate effectively via the medium. Moreover, An individual is faced with a huge amount of information every day in the form of emails, texts, and social updates. Multitasking is the norm of these days. The information overload and trying to accomplish too many things together can result in gaps in communication and miscommunications. Men and women communicate differently. The reason for this lies in the wiring of a man's and women's brains. Men talk in a linear, logical, and compartmentalized manner, whereas the women use both logic and emotion, and they use more words. This may be the cause of communication problem in an office where both men and women work side by side. Men can be held guilty of providing insufficient information, while women may be blamed for providing too much detail. Gender bias is another factor in communication barriers. Due to traditional mindset, many men find it difficult to take orders from or provide information to women. Then let us learn the most important part of this presentation, that how to overcome the communication barriers. Here I am going to suggest few of the ways. To be updated with the latest technologies, choosing a suitable environment, removing obstacles, making signs easier to read. For example, you could supplement written signs with pictures and visual signs. Self-motivation, cross-culture environment, have a thorough knowledge of your counterpart's cultural background, work in groups and run frequent meetings, speak slowly and clearly, ask for clarification, frequently check for understanding, be specific. Choose your medium of communication effectively. Be patient. Start by listening to others. Clarify if there is a confusion. Stay calm and be positive. These are the references which I have used to make this PPT. Thank you.